Hello, and welcome to another episode of Boundless Body Radio. I'm your host, Casey Ruff, and today we have another amazing guest to reintroduce to you now. Vic Basmadjian is a returning guest on our show. Be sure to check out his first appearance in episode 387 of Boundless Body Radio. Vic Basmadjian is an advocate of low carbohydrate and ketogenic diets after recovering his own poor health. At age 55, he was obese, weighing in at almost 300 pounds, and had high blood pressure and sleep apnea. Over the past few decades, Vic had repeatedly attempted to lose weight through calorie restriction, and although he had often lost significant amounts, he had never been able to sustain weight loss. It finally occurred to him that cutting out refined carbohydrates, such as rice, potatoes, and pasta, seemed to help with his weight loss efforts. Vic has used the ketogenic diet to sustainably lose 100 pounds while improving his health and quality of life. He has now turned much of his attention to helping others. In other exciting news since we last spoke in 2022, Vic has also become an accredited metabolic health practitioner through the Society of Metabolic Health Practitioners and a certified health coach at Dr. Tro's Medical Weight Loss and Direct Primary Care. You can find Vic on Twitter at Low Carb Beast and on Instagram at The Real Low Carb Beast. Vic Basmadjian, what an absolute honor it is to welcome you back to Boundless Body Radio.
Thank you so much, Casey. It's always a pleasure to catch up with you and have some conversation. And I really appreciate you giving me the opportunity to come back.
Absolutely. It's such an honor to host you. I really loved the episode that we did before. And it was really interesting for me to go back and try to find that episode to listen to it again and realize how long ago it was. It was in 2022. I didn't realize this much time had passed. We talked in that episode about having you back on to talk about your experiences at a health conference you were going to attending, and you've already attended too.
Yeah, it's funny. So we were talking I believe we were saying that we'll maybe get me back on after I attend, because we mentioned that I was going to be attending in Boca in 2023, and I guess time flies. And I attended Boca 2023, then I attended Boca 2024. So yeah, time flies. It's been a while. And a lot of change. A lot of change in that time. A lot of change.
Yeah, definitely. So technically, we are correct in inviting you back after attending that first conference, but now you just attended too. So we're really glad to host you back on. Oh man. So it has been long enough. I think it would be valid to talk about your personal story before we talk about some of the recent experiences and things that have changed. I kind of forgotten how powerful your story had been and how many times you had attempted to lose weight, like we alluded to in the introduction. Do you mind refreshing our listeners about your own personal story and how you were able to find low carbohydrate diets?
No, not at all. My pleasure. And I always like to bring it as an example so that if people listening and they might be in the same boat and same situation can bring some light to them that there is hope. There is a way. There is a way out of this, as we call the obesity trap. And that's what it was. It was a trap. And when you don't have, the right guidance or the right help or the right approach, it's pretty tough to get out of. But now, thankfully, through our community, we have all, so many people that, be it doctors, be it coaches, be it trainers, be it, all kinds of wonderful people in the community that can help people, and there is hope. So I hope my story brings some kind of hope to people who are listening, and to know that there is a way out of that life. So yeah, obese since childhood, from as early as a young age of 7, 8 years old. Used to call it chubby, call it overweight, but I mean, now knowing what we know, the parameters, I was probably clinically obese at as early as 8 years old, 10 years old, and just a lot of weight, a lot of excess weight. Comes from a Armenian background, so Armenians love to eat. I mean, everybody loves to eat, but our culture in particular is a very rich cuisine, and it's food for us. It's the way to show, as it is in many other cultures, to show love, to show respect, to have a good time, and it's always surrounding eat and food and abundance of it. So there was never a lack of a lot of food, and not necessarily the right dietary choices. I mean, yes, we had the right choices, but we had a lot of carbohydrates involved in the cuisine as well. So yeah, put on from a young age. I would consider myself obese from a very young age. Obese throughout high school. I was probably upon graduating high school, I was already around anywhere in 250, 260 pounds. And never really an attempt to try to even lose weight up until that age of 15, 16 years old. Always obese, Uh, we didn't know anything any better, not being well, what it could possibly do to you metabolically. And so it was just, the word obese was not used. It was the word, you're overweight, you know, or you can be, of course, they could be cruel. Kids can be cruel. They can bother you and make fun of you and be fat shamed, what have you. In any case, fast forward, upon graduating high school, 16, 17 years old, now you're trying to have a little bit more of your self-image and you want to start doing something about it. So I tried just about everything under the sun that you can think of, from repeat offender at Weight Watchers, uh, the cookie diet, the cabbage soup diet, all the, they call keto fat, but I don't know what we're supposed to call all those that were, so-called fads, and just calorie restriction, low fat, you name it. Now, they all worked. They all took weight off. I lost, I had good success I never took off 100 pounds, but I had success taking off, 50 pounds, 60 pounds several times. Now, taking it off was not a problem. Let's talk about maintaining, and that becomes a totally different issue. And most of the time, I'd lose whatever I lost. Within a very short time, I would regain it, and and then some, come back with a vengeance with some extra weight, as we know is very common to happen. And so, like I said, they say keto is not sustainable, or low carb is not sustainable, or carnivore is not sustainable. But I beg to differ. It's all the other lifestyles that were unsustainable. Okay, and I'm telling you, I've lost to a total of hundreds and hundreds of pounds of gain and regain. Okay, and it the fate what you realize is, and what the key is to our low carb keto carnivore lifestyles, are that we we were constantly white knuckling the other ways. We were hungry, we were starving. It's just like calorie restriction, and you're hangry, and you're just hanging in there for dear life to lose the weight you want to lose. And once you've lost your weight, you just it's a free for all. You start eating again, and no lifestyle change, no address of lifestyle change, no address of dietary change. Just calories in, calories out. We can talk about that. What that's worth, at least in we speak about that a lot. It's not necessarily cut and clear. Calories, yeah, they do matter, but is it the whole tale? Absolutely not. So, yeah, until I found the low carb lifestyle, uh, I was never able to sustain it. And lo and behold, in 2018, I had the good fortune of coming across low carb, keto, a wonderful community, wonderful people, got a lot of support, and I embarked on this lifestyle. And now into year 7, I have sustainably kept off my weight. Uh, I'm, an, you know, I'm advanced in my years. I'm not a young boy anymore. I'm 62. So much for losing lean muscle mass. The older we get, I think I don't have. I think I have more muscle now than I ever did. Uh, I'm not bragging about it. I'm just proud of it, and something I thought would never be possible. And feeling great, no metabolic issues, off all medication, off 30 years of blood pressure medication, no more CPAP machine. I used to be on CPAP therapy. Um, I think for some whatever reason we had forgotten to mention in the first episode, was because I went back to listen to so we can catch up, and never mentioned that I was also pre-diabetic. And so no longer pre-diabetic, no longer pre-diabetic, no more blood pressure, no more CPAP machine. All metabolic markers are good. Uh, my doctor can't even argue that he wants to put me on a stand, because even all my lipid panel is good. So, because we eat too much fat and it's dangerous, but somehow I must be a unicorn. My lipids are fine, thank God. So
Well,
yeah, that's a little bit of, without rambling on too much. That's pretty much my story. And uh, then like you mentioned, I got the passion to, like, how can I not spread this success and try to help other people find the same success and give them hope.
That's amazing. We talked about diet sustainability. I'm kind of confused. What was not sustainable about the cabbage soup diet?
Yeah, I
It
mean,
sounds delicious.
yeah, delicious, and but you're, starving. You're constantly just, I mean, repetitive. No change. No, Now everybody can pick on that argument that any type of protein is repetitive as well. But hey, I can choose from 7, 8, 9, 10 different kinds of proteins, right? Doesn't have to be like that. This picture they try to paint that we're only eating this particular protein or that particular protein. Our choices are so much. I mean, doesn't not repetitive to me. Not and I'm certainly not hungry after I'm eating a good portion of protein. Whereas when I'm having a cabbage soup, it's in about an hour I'm starving again, right?
Starving. Yeah. I love picking on the cabbage soup diet. I came across a diet book once, my favorite diet book ever. That was the new cabbage soup diet. And I'd never picked it up, but I've always wondered, like, what is new about this? Is it like different kinds of cabbage? Is it 20% more cabbage than before? Like, what did you change about this? It seems like an absolute nightmare. I want to talk about your quality of life, but before we do, while we're on this topic of what we're seeing as far as calorie restriction, we'll use the cabbage soup diet as an example. The sustainability. Explain the calories in, calories out model and why that doesn't last long term.
Well, I mean, the calories in, calories out. I mean, it's again, yes. I mean, again, the whole argument and all hell breaks loose on Twitter and what have you. That 2,000 calories is 2,000 calories, and no matter how you break it up, it's calorie expenditure and what have you. Yeah, but what's the level of satiety that calorie is giving you? Uh, and I mean, as far as we know that we see a lot of studies now that when you're taking in 2,000 calories of protein versus 2,000 calories of carbs, you're not getting the same. You're actually getting. You can probably take in a lot more in protein and to get that same energy as the carbs, right? So it's not the same. It's just not the same. I mean, how can anybody tell you that 3 donuts, okay, probably totaling up to 1,000 calories, is the same as about eating 13, 14 eggs? Where's that going to leave you on the satiety level, on the satiety, the energy of when's the next time you're going to be hungry, and it just doesn't equate. Yeah, it is the in and the out, but the body is just not reacting the same way to it. Your satiety is not reacting the same with it. So you just can't base it on calories. I mean, when you're eating, and the point I like to make is it's also, especially when we're going to touch on maintenance, okay? If you're eating the wrong, what we at the practice don't ever have anybody counting calories, okay? Because if you're eating the right calories, it's almost impossible to overshoot your intake, your daily intake. It can be done. I'm not saying it can't be done, but generally, most people, if you're eating the right intake, the right foods, you're not going to surpass your basal metabolic rate, what you need to take in. But if you're eating the wrong foods, yeah, for sure, the calories matter, because you can hypothetically go to a barbecue and be taking in 2,000 calories of Doritos and nuts before you even start your meal, right? And you're still starving, and you didn't even begin. So then why do calories? Well, that's when calories matter. But if you're sticking to the right food, chances are your cutoff point is you're gonna get satiated, and you're not gonna go overboard, and you'll be fine.
Yeah. Ben Bickman and I had a conversation about this not too long ago. And the hormones are powerful in both directions. I really like mentioning this, that like he mentioned it in our conversation 3 separate times where he said, hunger always wins. If you're feeling hungry, don't count on your, inner strength or whatever to be able to help you, because it's not going to work. Those hormones are too powerful. The opposite also happens when I go to a Brazilian steakhouse and I think I'm going to be there for 6 hours, and after about 45 minutes I'm so stuffed I can't even like take another bite of this delicious food that was so tasty a minute ago. And I think about calories in, calories out, and I do respect this person for showing up to Low Carb Denver when Low Carb Denver 2023 invited Lane Norton, who's a big calories in, calories out guy. I have to say, I respect his decision to go. I do not respect the way he's treated people in our community and just using his social media to like make fun of people in our community. So it wasn't exactly the warmest reception. And he talks a lot about calorie balance and weight balance. It's almost like, fine, let's concede that. And just say maybe it is, and that's fine. But you're only talking about weight control, where I talk to you and everybody else in this world, and it's like my sleep apnea is gone, my prediabetes is gone, I'm adding lean mass, like you said, your bone density is getting better, your brain is functioning better. That's not weight control. This is the only diet I've ever had people go on where after a very short amount of time, they care a lot less about their weight and body fat, and they care more that their joints don't hurt, and they stop forgetting things, and they're not falling, or name all these other amazing benefits that have nothing to do with weight.
Right. That's right. And it's like, to your point, like I said, I've lost weight several times, and all with all the other approaches, when I lost 50, 60 pounds, my blood pressure did not improve with those approaches, because it was just everything in moderation and eating whatever you were eating, moderating and still eating, whatever it was I was eating. Again, calorie counting. That's all it was. So is it a coincidence that on low carb or on keto, the blood pressure seems to be, is insulin resistance is improving and things are, is it, is it just like a miracle it's happening with that? No, there's reasons for it. There's reasoning with hormonal function, and it's like, it's not, this is what they don't look at. They're just calories, calories, calories. My blood pressure never improved on the other approaches, but my blood pressure started improving on low carb way before I had lost 100 pounds. Okay, I was, for all intents and purposes, off. I mean, I got weaned off progressively because it got lower and lower and lower, but I think at about the 50-pound mark or 60-pound mark of weight loss, I was completely off them. Okay, where it was not the case on the other one. So yeah, to your point, there's a lot more than the scale and the weight, right?
Yeah, very good point. I love that. Okay, so you mentioned all of the things that you made better. The sleep apnea going away, the blood pressure, all that weight loss. Practically speaking, if somebody were to know nothing about those things and know nothing about what it feels like to have them or not have them, practically speaking, especially as you look around and see other people that are your age, what is your day-to-day like? Why are those things better for you? Like what things do you get to do that maybe other people that you observe maybe don't get to do?
It's so life changing in so many aspects, in so many ways, that it's crazy. You just feel like, it's crazy to say, at 62, I feel better than when I was 30. Okay, and you're able to do so much more activity. I mentioned, a couple of years back, we had gone to Greece for a vacation, and there was this one particular area that's very, very common thing to do in Greece, to climb the top of that summit and mountain. And it's something that it still gets me emotional. I climbed the top, and the old me would have had to probably call an ambulance to take me away. There's no way make it to the top. I said, I can't believe I just did this. Okay. It was like, I got to the top, and it's crazy. I said, I wouldn't be able to do this 30 years ago. Okay. It just doesn't make sense. And I just got to the top and had no problem, no struggles. On a daily basis, I get up in the morning, I have energy. I'm not struggling. I used to come, midway through the day, I'd run out of gas. I'd have to, I was in sales on the road, and 2 in the afternoon, 3 in the afternoon, I'd have to call it a day because I'm just like out of energy. Getting home, passing out on the couch, just like having supper and just no energy to do nothing. Now it's like, okay, where are we going? What are we doing? And, working out, doing exercise, going to the gym. Uh, uh, you're just feeling so much better. You finish a meal, you don't feel like you're in a food coma after a meal. Okay. Like, you're not bloated. You're not, I mean, you don't forget these feelings of how it used to be, and aches, pains, yeah. I mean, these past 2 weeks, I've been going through a little bit of a back injury, but that's just, it's the first time in 7 years it just happened. But used to be in pain on a daily basis for all various reasons, right? And those pains are not there anymore. And it's life altering. It's life altering. I just can't talk enough about it. It's you're just enjoying life so much more, And God willing, one day I'll be a grandparent, and I know I'm gonna have, all the energy in the world to keep up with the grandkids, And that's something in common we see in the practice, that when we're helping people, that the people with success, that's their greatest, like, man, I was able to, keep up with the grandkids, and enjoy life. Yeah.
That's amazing. For the person that you described earlier who is going to the barbecue and they can eat as many chips and canned peanuts, whatever, before they even eat the meal, if they're listening to this saying, that sounds amazing, but I could never give that up. Like that, it tastes so good. How can Vic be able to give that up? What would you want to say to them to provide hope?
This is not my saying, and I'm trying. It's a little bit of a cliche. I've heard it quite a few times, and I've maybe read it or heard some, and I don't know who should be getting the credit for this. It's not me. It's not my line. Okay. But I'd be curious. Maybe you'll know. I don't know. Nothing tastes as good as being healthy, is what I tell them. Okay. And I've heard that cliche somewhere. It's somebody's line. I don't remember. Forgive me, whoever you are, but it's nothing tastes as good as tastes as being healthy. And there are other things you can have. Those are so good. There are replacements for those foods. There are other options that you can enjoy if need be. Okay, they shouldn't be staples, but when you feel like having them, you can have them.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always shocking to me too, like how quickly, if somebody does decide to get those things out of their diet for not a long time, not a very long time it takes for them to try it again, which I almost encourage at this point, because the price that is paid once you've been off of some of those foods and you get back on them, not only do you pay a heavier and heavier price, and you start to notice that price that you pay a little bit more since you cut them out, but also the foods themselves, they really don't have the same taste. They don't taste the same after a little while. Like the chips are not as good. The candy is not the same as you remember. The cake is, like, first of all, again, not even worth it. It won't even taste that good to you. Things like a piece of fruit or something would be so sweet, where it wasn't anything compared to like a candy bar before. So that I hope that encourages somebody who could never imagine being at the level of strictness that you are, I am. I hope they can understand that very quickly that will change for them. And on that note, I don't think I can invite you on and not talk about the strictness aspect and not talk about moderators and abstainers. Can you talk about the difference and the importance of understanding who the individual is and whether they can dabble in certain things or they really just need to forget eating those things for their entire lives, essentially?
Yeah, no question. It's not this lifestyle approach is not a one size fits all. There's different people and different different uh, different ways of how people are wired, and some people need to abstain to find success on their journey, and you know using replacement options are just not an option for them because they are wired in a way that you know they just can't control it. They're still going to go off board, whether it's a replacement, whether it's sugar, or whether it's erythritol or monk fruit or allulose, or if we're talking on the sweet side of things. And replacement is not an option. It's just like they just can't control it. Now then you have the other people that not having replacements is not an option. Okay, because if they don't have the options, they're not gonna conform. They're not gonna go on. And knowing that they can have those replacement options, and again, as long as it's made out to be that, it should not be a staple. It should be a replacement. It should be a crutch. It should be only when you're getting that craving that you are having that. I mean, surely if you're going to be having a keto-fied dessert every single day, you know what? Chances are you're going to get yourself in trouble. But if you're on that, you're feeling that, hey, Casey, if I don't have a piece of whatever sweet today, I'm going to fall off the wagon completely. I'd rather have that person have that, have that replacement just as a crutch. And we make this very clear. It cannot be. So kind of like it's training wheels for the people who need it, and it works for, and they're totally fine. I was one of these people. I needed training wheels for pizza. Okay, so Fathead was my savior. Fathead pizza, and I used to have Fathead pizza every second week at the beginning of my journey. Ask me how many times I have pizza today in a year. You know, like you mentioned, your palate changes, your desire slowly diminishes, and it's a natural course of as you're building your ketone bank and everything is changing. And I'll probably have pizza 3-4 times a year now versus every second week. Okay, so had that crutch not been there for me, I don't think I would have been able to progress. But that's me. So like I said, that there should it kind of upsets me when there's this argument, and particularly on social media, that some people say, no, you got it's abstain or nothing. If you're using replacements, it's just not going to work. Well, I can tell you that I'm with a practice that we see a lot of success with a lot of people using replacements, but we know who should be using replacements and who should be abstaining. And this, as a coach or as a practice, it's for you to do the proper assessment of which person needs which approach.
Well, I appreciate that you mentioned that. I think community and group support is going to be a major part of this conversation moving forward from here. But while we're on this topic, I would love for you to comment on that. What are you observing as far as social media interactions with people with seemingly slightly different opinions about tiny little things? Do you see in this community that we're starting to miss the forest for the trees a little bit, and we're not really pulling together and addressing the major issues, like, for example, eliminating ultra processed food and seed oils and sugars and grains and that type of thing?
Yeah, this is a subject that really I think needs to be spoken about. I don't know if there'll ever be a solution for it, but the community, listen, let's say what it is. We have a good community. It's a good, strong community. I don't want to discount it. I don't want to start saying that we don't have a good community. Overall, we have a great community. It's generally, outliers that like to stir the pot, and unfortunately, and like it kind of like, I don't want to leave a stain on the entire community because of a small group of people or a small group of mentality. But there is a division. There definitely is a division, and especially on social media. There's what we're going to call. We're going to take three camps and take the low carb camp, take the keto camp, and take the carnivore camp. And now we're all in the same family at the end of the day. Okay, we're all in the same family. It's all the same approach, but one is a little bit more, shall we say, it's like saying, there isn't, it's more limited of what you can have. But that's okay. The person who chose that way is going to do that way. We shouldn't be saying that. I mean, the person who's doing keto or low carb shouldn't be saying, well, that guy's crazy for doing carnivore. He's only eating meat and that doesn't make sense. Well, no, it does make sense for that person. That person probably has reasons for going carnivore. That person is, it's not because just for the hell of it. So, they're people who do have other metabolic issues that, they just cannot eat vegetables, or they cannot eat other, fruits or whatever it is. And they feel much better when they're eating carnivore. Now, on the flip side, carnivore shouldn't be attacking somebody who's keto and saying that, well, what, that's not really low carb. That's not the right way to do it. It's like, I've been attacked on social media because my plate of beef stroganoff happened to have 2-3 pieces of carrots in it, So You know what? It's like you're talking to a guy that used to eat probably, uh, you know, I can't even put a number of how much carbs I used to eat in a week, or in a year. Okay, I probably eat my carbohydrate intake now in 1 month. Sorry, in 1 year is what 1 month used to be. Okay, so don't, and not necessarily the type of carbs I used to have. Okay, so don't pick on me because there was 2 or 3 pieces of carrot that just gave taste to that sauce that happened to be in my plate. But unfortunately, they'll attack it and they'll call you out and they'll, okay, it is what it is. And you'll see other people that are getting into all kinds of arguments, and it's just not healthy for the community. It's like, don't judge what's working for. Don't judge what, if keto is working for that guy, fine. If the other person is low carb is working for them, if they're able to stay below, if they've gone to their maintenance, they're in maintenance. They've gone to their weight and they're maintaining by staying, you know, below 100 grams of carbs a day. That's still called low carb, right? And they're maintaining and they're still doing okay. Don't pick on the guy. You know what? The guy's eating whatever he's eating and he's maintaining, and he's switched it. He's not having all those refined carbs. He's having, complex carbs. And so he's having more. Don't bash somebody because they're having spaghetti squash. It's like, it's not. So there's that. And then, like we said before, abstaining or using replacements. You know what? Don't be judgmental of others' journey. You know what? Everybody needs a different, different help. But it's not the same. It's not a cookie cutter approach. I hate to have to use the word cookie cutter, but it's it's not the same. And that, so the community needs to hold each other up better than that, instead of bashing because what the person's choice is, if he wants to be a carnivore or if he doesn't want to be a carnivore. And nobody should be judging nobody. All approaches work. We're all theoretically under the same approach, not only theoretically, by practice as well. And
Yeah.
the people who go carnivore, they may have autoimmune issues, but the other guy who doesn't have autoimmune issues has the luxury of eating vegetables. Don't pick on that guy. So he enjoys his vegetables. It's no biggie.
Yeah.
Or don't judge the carnivore for not eating vegetables.
Vic's really letting his health go by having 3 carrot slices. Like that's the gateway drug. I hear first it's carrots, and then it's donuts, and then you're back up to 300 pounds. So we're really concerned about you and your health, my friend.
Yeah. It's all right. It's
Recently,
I'm sorry.
yeah. No, I was just gonna say I recently had 2 guests on my show. One person, with a diagnosis of stage 4 cancer, terminal cancer, and now no longer has cancer in his body. Another woman who was bipolar and now no longer is bipolar, and they're both plant-based, and they're talking about the benefits of plant-based ketogenic diets on my show, where we typically promote a lot of carnivores. And I'm listening to them talking about plants and all the wonderful things about plants, and like my brain is buzzing and maybe steam shooting out of my ears. But they're right. They're right for themselves. Like they've done all these amazing things. Who am I to say you can't do that, or oxalates are going to be a problem? I don't know that will ever be a problem for a lot of people out there. And I just have so much respect for people that are reversing health conditions regardless of the way they do it. So I love that. I love that you address that. Thank you so much for going there with that question. We did bring you on to ask you also, what it was like to go to some of these shows. So can you tell us a little bit about your experiences going to Boca back-to-back years?
Yeah, it's it's kind of like an addiction now. I think I'll be, God willing, and nothing gets in the way of it. I'll definitely be attending, every year pretty much as I can. I want to obviously one year get out to San Diego as well. That's that. So like, I don't know, maybe one year I'll have to sacrifice Boca to be able to do San Diego, or maybe I don't know, maybe eventually I can do both in one year. We'll see. But it's what, honestly, it's something that everybody should experience. I had mentioned that I used to follow it. I still do, virtually. But the experience of being there live in person is a totally different experience. Okay. And so, you're meeting so many people, so many of who we call the giants of the industry, the speakers, and uh, it's amazing to see. Like you had mentioned in the in our first episode of that, you said that I'll see what you mean, and I did see what you mean, and they're also humble. They take the time to sit down and talk with you, or pull to the side and talk with you and answer your questions. And they're so nice, and it's like, I remember the first year I was saying, like, is this for real? What, like, happened to be sat down for lunch with Nina Teichels, uh, was having breakfast with the Unwins. And, they're just like so, so nice, so humble, so, genuine people, true and genuine people. So it's a great experience to meet them. And then you're meeting, the lame people like myself and others who, it was crazy. It happened to me that a few people walked up to me and said, "Hello, how are you? You're Vic." Yeah, blah, blah. You don't know who they are, but they're following you on social media and they know who you are, right? So that lit up something in me as well. When sometimes, you put in a lot of time on social media for posts and this, and I say, like, is this really worth it? It's like you might not get that many reactions to a post or anything. There's more people watching than you think. That's what made me realize, and so you just meet a lot of people, and friendships are created, and bonds are created. And that's where I see that's where the community gets stronger. And all the people that you've just seen on through a Zoom meeting, now you're seeing in person. Okay. I mean, there's so many people. I mean, I met, so many of my who have become friends through community on Zoom meetings. Never seen them in person. Well, finally met them in person. It's a totally different experience. And the conference itself, the content is like it's amazing. You learn so much. And uh, year one for Boca in 2023, there was a bonus presentation before the whole conference got started, and pretty much the conference was uh, set up on that. Uh, the topic was addiction. So much to be learned about addiction, and they concentrated on that. And moving forward this year was amazing, 2024, and it was a subject that I personally think is not spoken enough about. I learned so much about it, and it was type 1 diabetes, which we don't speak about often. Uh, but they did a great job. There was a committee that had worked on it, and they did an amazing job presenting it. And it was so good. And there was some doctors there who were just coming to the SMHP for the first time, so trying, like, treading water to see if they want to come on board and this and that and whatever. And one of the doctors happened to mention to one of the organizers. I'll give him a shout out to Pascal Lemieux. He did a great work, in preparing all this. He was instrumental. Actually, Doug Reynolds interviewed him on Low Carb USA. And this guy is like, he put in so much work to make this work. And he was saying that a doctor actually came up to him and said, "You know what? I learned more about type 1 diabetes in these 2 days than I have in my entire medical profession."
Wow.
Okay. So this is the type of quality of presentations that are made at these conferences. Sometimes, I'm listening to certain topics. Some of it sometimes can even get too science. It can be over the top of my head at times, certain things, but a lot of it is so understandable. And so, your education goes to the next level for sure.
Yeah.
And your passion goes to the next level as well. It kind of lights up this fire in you that, you want to keep pushing even more. You want to push forward, and you see that we're advancing, like let's call it what it is. It's David and Goliath. We're fighting a colossal fight against, be it pharma or be it big food, big pharma. We have a colossal, you're in denial if you think that it's not a colossal undertaking, but we got to keep pushing forward. We got to, and we're taking steps, and there's a lot of things happening that 2-3 years ago wasn't happening. Now it is happening. So baby steps. Everybody's got to put in their do their part. And yeah, so highly recommend these conferences. It's an experience it's like we say, everybody's got to go to Disneyland once at least, or go to Vegas once at least. Everybody needs to go to one of these conferences once at least.
I love that. Yeah, I absolutely love that. It is a sacrifice. It's not easy. I mean, you've had a business, you know what it's like to leave a business over a weekend, and going from Canada to Florida in the wintertime would be mighty nice to spend that entire weekend on the beach, and you spend it inside. I did the same thing in San Diego. San Diego in August, it's pretty great, pretty awesome place to be. I spent it inside with all of my people. I could have gone to the beach. I could have taken a day off. I could have, enjoyed it in that sense. But that's how powerful these things are. And that's how amazing they are. You will want to be there and be with this energy of these people, and not only talking to the giants in our field, like you said, but also making new friends that are somewhere else on their journey. Like it's all so wonderful to be there. And I love that you were able to go and that you loved it so much. You got the bug and went back again. Hope to see you in San Diego one of these years. It's so much easier for me to get to San Diego than it is for me to get to Florida. I do want to talk to your process of getting, educated in this. We talked last time about sharing your message, but since we've talked, like we said in the introduction, you've been certified through the Society of Metabolic Health Practitioners. That's not an easy process from what I understand. I have not done that for myself, but can you talk about what that was like and why that was important for you?
Yeah, it was important to me. That, I mean, it's something that I've taken a deep dive into, and I want to be informed the right way. I want to be educated the right way. I want to be able to help people, the most I can. So the more we're armed, like we say, knowledge is power. The more knowledge we have, the more we can help people. And there's many pathways that you can get this accreditation of being a metabolic health practitioner. I actually went through the nutrition network path. And so it's quite a lengthy process. There's a lot of material, there's a lot of modules. You gotta, obviously, it's like a sort of like a prerequisite. You take one part of it, and then once you've completed that, you can move on to the next one and the next one. And so like this, it's a full education that covers a lot of topics. The book that the Nutrition Network came out with Ketogenic, which has become a very, it's an amazing tool, reference. So probably everything that's in that book throughout the certification, you learn about, and it's an education. It's a full education. So it's at a self pace. So it all depends on how fast you want to do it, but it's quite lengthy. Even if you doing it at a good pace, there's a lot of information to be had. And then it's the SMHP that accredits you for finalizing all those different modules and different courses. And there's it covers all the way from metabolic health all the way to ethics, of how ethics are covered in the medical world, in the profession. So I highly endorse it for anybody who has a passion for this. It's very good knowledge, very well put together training. And I just have a passion for learning even more and more and more. It's like, it's not so much to say that, I learned that and I'm done. It's they're always coming out with new material. So always continue taking, and got to keep up now that you're accredited. You got to keep up with the CMEs, right? So you got to keep your education going anyway. So I'm committed. I'm there to stay committed and get my CMEs and keep my certification, and keep helping people.
That's great. I think somebody would see the title of Society of Metabolic Health Practitioners and be a little bit intimidated. I certainly have been before I really understood what it was. You think this is for doctors or researchers or whatever, but this is somebody that anybody can take, even a schmuck like me, correct?
Yeah, a schmuck like me did it. So
Nice.
yeah, it's listen, to whoever has a deep passion for this subject and wants to. So you're going to start at square one and just progress. And yeah, it's not only for doctors, and they at a certain point, I believe they like doctors, like for the doctors to get this MHP, don't have to do certain modules that the schmucks like us have to do at the beginning, right? So, but at one point, the road kind of meets in the middle somewhere, and then you are actually doing the same courses that the doctors are doing. So,
Very cool.
with certain parts of it, you know.
Yeah, that's very cool. Speaking of schmucks, I hope he doesn't mind that I allude to him as schmuck. Dr. Tro is absolutely amazing. He is definitely not a schmuck. What a kind and generous and giving person. He has a certain persona on Twitter, although I would argue it's softened quite a bit in the last few years. He is one of the heroes, in my opinion, in this space. And I know he was personally a hero to you. You decided to start to work for him in clinic. What was that like?
You know what? Like you said, he's the persona on Twitter and who the real man is really it's two different people. I can understand his persona on Twitter. It's his passion that drives that, and it's he truly gets upset when this approach is attacked because he knows it works. He sees it works. He sees it in his clinic every day. He's not just going off the top of his head rambling about something that is, you know, a fad diet. It's like it's worked for him. It's worked for all his coaches. You know what? Between four coaches and himself, we're talking close to 700 pounds of weight loss experience. Okay.
Amazing.
That's so we've all walked the walk. And so he knows it works. He knows it's, you know, so it's his passion, you know, and he's very passionate about it and he wants to help people and he wants to help, you know, his mission is, as we know, is to deprescribe people, not to keep pushing, you know, meds. And not to say meds have their place. Okay. Let's get something straight. It's like sometimes they need to be used. It is what it is. We're not saying that it's like we're anti-drugs or anti-medication, but only if the person truly needs it. If there's a way to get him off it and he's still going to be as healthy, why not, right? So how did that happen? You know what, you talk about the conferences. I mean, I've known Tro for a long time. And I mean, he's, you know, I've always spoken up about him being my mentor. And I mean, I fell upon him on social media at the beginning of my journey and progressed from there. And, you know, became part of his Facebook community, became, you know, before his app even existed, you know, it was just a Facebook community in which I was a part of all the time. So I was always been very active in his community. And then when actually in 2023, when we were in Boca, this was a hallway conversation, and Tro, because he knew I was coaching on my own, and I was doing my own coaching, and so he just kind of like threw it out. He goes, "So Vic, when are you joining me? You know, when you're gonna come coach for me?" And it was just a little pebble, a stone that he threw that kind of just like lit the fire. And you know, I still at that point hadn't finished all my certifications and my accreditations and all that. So in my mind, it was like once I do get all the credentials, that you know, something that I would love to do. It would be an honor to do. Being asked by Tro that when am I going to join him, it was like to me was, you know. And so the time came and the moment came, and I told him I'm ready to come on board. And it's amazing. It's an honor and privilege to be part of his team. It's what a team! I'm telling you, we all have the same passion. We all have the same, you know, Tro, Dr. Laura Buchanan. I think you've pretty sure you've interviewed her.
Yeah.
You know Dr. Laura. She's a super person, you know. And then our coach and program director Amy Agus, Brian Wiley, Tia Reed just joined us recently, and so we're like a family. We're a good knit team. Oh, I forgot Mary, PA, Mary Dugancic. You know, we all truly genuinely care, and we bring, you know, we really care about our patients and clients, and it's an amazing practice. And that's why I said it's like the man, when you get to see the man in the practice, you'll see how gentle and how caring he is. You know, he's not the names he gets called on Twitter. He's not that person.
No, not at all. Not at all. And again, I don't think he's just very direct. I don't think he's rude. He just, if he's got a question about somebody, he'll call them out and ask for clarification, or he'll make a point that's very direct. And that's just how it comes across. But to meet him in person, and meet all the people that I've been able to meet, not everybody on that list, but a few of them in person, they're just the nicest, kindest people that want to do everything to give back, which is amazing. You mentioned that you were doing some limited coaching on your own before. After going through the process of getting certified and working with Tro and this amazing team, what things have you gotten better at as far as the coaching? What things have you learned and been able to implement that you think have been more effective at helping more people?
Well, as the saying goes, the more we coach, the better of a coach we become. Okay, so I'm obviously, I was doing, coaching for myself, and okay, that was helping me too. I mean, the more experience you get, the better coach you become. But now, being part of Tro's team is it's a totally different story. I mean, I was just being a health coach on my own, and there's no medical team behind it, and there's no, program behind it, and courses, and like this is like a whole package. It's a whole deal, okay, that is available that I did not have. And the biggest thing is the biggest battle I used to find was, okay, like how I used to take on a client and make them sign a waiver saying I'm not a medical professional, speak to your doctor. And well, guess what? Half the time when they asked their doctor said, you're crazy, don't do this diet, right? So that was a barrier that I had to fight against, which I no longer have to fight against that barrier, right? So it's like when they're coming to Dr. Tro's medical practice, the person is already, the doctors are there. And so they know that the doctor that they want to work with, they believe in this thing, and they know that their metabolic care is being looked at as well at the same time. So it just becomes a whole complete package. And then it's just the whole approach, of how we put the whole program together. And I've become a better coach because, and you realize, and we spoke about this with Tro on the podcast, was, what, so much of this is more habit than food, behavior change. And so we address a lot of that in the practice. Okay. So, I mean, we do talk about food as well, obviously, but if we can't help people understand of how to manage their hunger, how to manage their cravings, how to manage their feelings of deprivation, how to navigate social situations and mental health and emotions, if we don't teach them that this is all a part of it, sleep, stress, this is not only about food, is what the message we got to get across, okay? Because you can be eating all the right food, but if all these other things, if we don't show you how to help and navigate these things, it becomes a challenge. It really becomes this, So I've become a better coach in this approach and what we use at the practice, and it works. It really works. We have a really good, good. It's always a challenge. It's not easy, but we have a good success rate, and I think I've become a better coach because of it. With all these tools that all these by learning this approach that Dr. Tro uses.
Amazing. Yeah, I've heard him refer to the program as like having AA. We have AA for our cars, or no, it's not AA, AAA. We have AAA for our cars that we can call if we break down or whatever. We don't even, most of us have that or have it covered with our car insurance, but none of us have that with health, our own personal health, and that's a million times more important than your car. You know what I mean? And so I really like the way he's approaching that, and I like the way that you addressed managing things. And I look at my own life and different habits that I've been able to improve over time have been a gradual process. Anytime I've decided to do something and take something on and say, like, okay, from today on, I'm going to have this goal. I'm going to hit this goal every single time. The more I've done that, the less that habit has stuck. The more I've been able to say, okay, I did this activity this many times in a week or in a month. Now I've got a target to maybe do that a few less or a few more, depending on what the goal is. And I've got a client, that I worked with today that she's got this goal of 10,000 steps a day. She's been averaging about 4,000 steps a day, and she's been walking more, which is great. But she's like getting upset with herself that she was only able to walk 10,000 steps 3 days last week. And it's like, whoa, 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 whoa. Look at the bigger picture. Add them up over the course of a week or a month or whatever, and just understand we're not trying to do this overnight. You didn't get here overnight. Let's take a gradual process, and let's get there eventually. Let's just make small improvements, and with small improvements, you'll be able to accomplish so much more, and that's so apparent in your own story as well.
Yeah, and it's like we tell a lot of our clients, it's like, and our patients, and it's like, don't beat yourself up. They're so used to getting beaten up. They're so used to, throughout their whole life, being told it's your fault. You know what? You messed up. You screwed up. You whatever. You know what? Okay, so you're gonna have a stumble. It's gonna happen. It's like, it's okay. Like, you're not a unicorn to be perfect from day one. You're gonna have to build up to it, and so they get this support, and they feel this. They see, when you're in a community, they see that they're not alone. They see everybody's pretty much going through the same struggle, right? And so when this is pointed out, and when you're not pointing the blame at them, and you're telling them that what they're going through is totally normal, and that we're going to give you the tools to help you navigate this, it's a game changer. Okay, it's because they're just used to going to, I don't know, I guess Weight Watchers is my whipping. I just like beating up on them. And because I remember, because I was a repeat offender. So you go there, you get on the scale, and you haven't lost weight. And well, you must have screwed up on your points. You must have eaten too many points, or it's like you're at fault. They didn't do anything else but tell you to eat this many points. Didn't prepare you for anything. Didn't educate you in anything. Didn't address sleep. Didn't address stress. Didn't address how to navigate certain situations, and it's all your fault. You messed up. They didn't teach you how to deal with your hormonal changes that could be going on. But it's all about the points. Nothing else matters. So people are used to being blamed, and we got to take that blame off them and know that they weren't given a fair break with all those other approaches.
Yeah. If I look at my nutrition manual, which is right there, that is my general nutrition coaching certification manual from a very, very highly respected company. One of the better certifications you can get for nutrition coaching in particular. It's centered mostly around behavior change. And the behaviors that, excuse me, the behaviors that we give people, there's so many different behaviors we used to coach for. Did you eat lean protein with every meal? Did you get 5 different kinds of vegetables in your day? Did you balance your carbohydrates with the fat, keeping the fat low? And there was just, did you eat until you were 80% full? There's all these like really obscure things that you could coach, doing this way of nutrition coaching in a way that would keep somebody trapped and make them feel like it's their fault. They didn't do everything perfectly. They didn't track perfectly. And it was just such a great way to keep people in that mentality, which sucks. We never got anywhere with anybody. It was terrible.
Yeah. Yeah. It's always throw the blame on the individual. It's like, instead of helping them out and guiding them and showing them, explaining to them why they stumbled, explaining to them that, what, if let's say if they're, I mean, I'll push the envelope a little bit, like, let's say you have somebody that started, so many people embark into intermittent fasting, and they say, oh, this intermittent fasting doesn't work. It's like bullshit and what have you. But they probably pulled that lever way too fast. They probably weren't ready to go into intermittent fasting. Okay. So they just go on the internet and they see all the hype and eat whatever crap you want. And as long as you're keeping it within a certain window, they're not fat adapted. They're still glucose burners. And so then they say, well, intermittent fasting is a scam as well. It doesn't work. And well, no, because you weren't ready and you weren't fat adapted, and that's why you suffered. Okay. And we have groups like this. Like for this month, it's fasting February month. So I've been running a fasting group every single Thursday. We call it the No Lunch Support Group. So everybody attends that meeting, and we get together and we talk about the success and this and that. And sometimes the group people motivate you as a coach. And so as a support, I jumped in with them this week. And so as we speak, I'm at 6 o'clock tonight. I'll be finishing a 72-hour fast. So, and I did that to jump in on support with showing the others that I'm engaged as well. So they motivated me, and I motivate them, and so it's all community and showing them the right way, and maybe telling some people, well, you're probably good for now on a 16/8. Don't try an extended, or so. Let's one step at a time. So all this guiding, this is the difference of becoming a better coach and being part of an amazing community.
Wow. Well, anybody would be very fortunate to be coached by you in that way. I absolutely love that. I know that Ben Bickman kind of talked about that in Boca as well, trying to white knuckle the fasting thing before you've taken this step, like you said, to get fat adapted. The religion that Ben Bickman belongs to, I used to belong to, and we had every single month, we called it Fast Sunday, and you would fast for 24 hours inside of a Sunday. And I half joke with people, like really half joke, like you would spend the one day absolutely miserable, and then you'd spend the 29 other days being absolutely miserable because you knew the next one was coming up. Where now, like once you're fat adapted, fasting for 24 hours, no problem. Easy, easy, easy. You might get a little like rumble in your tummy, but it is not like the suffering you go through before. And you're right. People see,
yeah. I mean, that we get that. I mean, especially on the extended one, on the extended fast, you'll get that, that Mr. Grelin will start poking at you at a certain time, but it's not linear, and this is what people need to understand, right? It's like, so it might wake up for, like for myself, I mean, it's different for everybody. When I'm doing an extended fast, I know Mr. Grelin is poking me at about the 25 to 27 hour mark. Okay. Now, once I get by that 25, 27 hour mark, then he's going back to sleep and I'm on cruise control. Okay. And but people think that 25-hour mark, as soon as the hunger hormone hits, they say, I don't stand a chance, it's time to eat. So again, if they're not educated about it, if they're not fat adapted, it's going to be harder to fight against. And so that's what it is.
Yeah. Well, I love that you mentioned ghrelin kind of poking, and that poking, I'll say, is that gentle kind of tap on the shoulder. One of my former podcast guests, Aranda Wickramasinghe, referred to hunger being a bully for his life. You know what I mean? Versus being a friend and being like, hey, yo, what's up? I'm hunger. Do you want a meal? No, looks like you're busy. I'll come back later. And it's such a difference.
I like that. I like that.
It's a nice little poke or a tap on the shoulder. It's not a 2x4 whack to the face like it used to be. Totally different. Vic, this has been amazing. I love catching up with you. It's been way too long. I hope that I will be able to run into you in person and meet you at one of these conferences. They're absolutely wonderful. Thank you again so very much for taking the time to be on our show today, for sharing your story and sharing all the amazing things you've done in the last year and change that we have been able to talk. Tell the listeners where you'd like them to go to find you and connect with you in your work.
Yeah, they can find me on social media. You can find me on Twitter under the handle of Low Carb Beast. On Instagram, you can find me on, somebody had taken Low Carb Beast, so I had to put the real Low Carb Beast on Instagram. That's why I made it the real, because it was taken, so I had no choice. And you can shoot me an email at vic@drtro.com. And yeah, that's about it. You can find me on any of these platforms. Come join us on the app. For those who want to join us on, you can join us on the app, on the Dr. Tro app. It's a wonderful community we have, and for those who want to join us, please just on any Apple or any platform, or even on your computer, you can just download the app and get some support.
That's excellent. We will link to all of that in the show notes. Vic, like I said, so appreciative of everything you've gone through and your constant drive to improve yourself, improve your coaching, and continuing to help people out there. It's very, very inspiring. We're just so grateful for you and everything that you've gone through, and your, again, willingness to share that with people all around you, the people you coach, and with us today on this episode. So thank you again for appearing today. Really honored to host you again.
Crazy, Casey. It's my pleasure. I appreciate you. Right back at you. You have an amazing platform, which you do tremendous work on. I really appreciate the work you do, and I'm humbled and honored to be on your podcast. And besides, you're the only guy that, when people tell me I'm crazy when I'm eating 12 eggs, You're the only guy on social media I can point out and say, well, look, this guy's crazier than I am.
You're halfway
So
there. Come on,
yeah,
12 more.
I'm way behind this guy here. So yeah, kidding aside, much respect, my friend, and thank you very much.
Well, thank you. I will take that as the highest compliment, the highest praise coming from you. I really, really appreciate that. Very kind words from you. So thank you again for appearing. And this has been another episode of Boundless Body Radio.